Andrea, if I can pass it over to you and share, your story. I know we chat a couple days ago. Obviously, I think that's very important for, some of our students and fellow peers here who's going into their exam soon. To also kind of know like what you were going through, right? In the last, 48, 72 hours.
Yeah, last like 72 hours have been pretty crazy.
So
Um,
over to you, Andrea.
yeah, so I finished the program, I think, on Friday. And then over the weekend, I started taking practice tests. And I was like not doing well. Like I was getting in like the 50s and 60s and like really freaking out. And I emailed Benita just like, oh my God, like how did I retain nothing? Like, why am I so bad at this? So we spoke on the phone. She gave me a few things to review. And then I, kind of went through the areas that I was lacking, rewatched those videos. And then I thought kind of instead of putting myself through like another exam simulator, I would instead like work through the questions that Scott had recorded in the accelerator, like logically. So I watched all three of the practice sessions that he did with like the one-on-one sessions he did with a student. Like watched all of those and then paused in between and answered the question myself. And on the first video, I didn't get any wrong. The second video, I didn't get any wrong. And then the third video with 20 questions, I got 18 of the 20 right. So I was like, okay, I feel better. And then the 58 hard questions decoded, when I did that one, I got 10 of the 58 wrong. So 48 right. And I'm like, okay, the like situational questions I think were
Right?
easier for me. And then, yeah, I was pretty much studying like all day Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Rewatched the Agile videos. And then this morning, I called Scott and I was like, just tell me I'm going to pass this freaking test. And he was like, yeah, you're going to pass it. So I was like, all right. And I took my dog for a walk
Mm-hmm.
and listened to his like 32-minute Agile Made Easy
Mm-hmm.
video, which I think was like really, really important to listen to like right before the test. I know like everything you see online says it's like 50-50 Agile and waterfall, and I felt like it was more like 75%
Yeah.
Agile.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Almost every question was situational.
Mm-hmm.
Um, almost, I think I had two drag and drop questions, no math questions. I didn't use a calculator once. Um,
Nice.
and then the only thing that I did that was not Scott focused, there's someone, Andrew Ramdial or something, who gives you, there's like a 10-minute video on YouTube about being in the servant leader mindset.
Mm.
My coworker recommended that to me. Actually, one of my coworkers who did this Scott boot camp was like, just everything that Scott said is right. But if you want to get in the servant leader mindset, like right before, just Google this guy and watch his 10-minute servant leader video. Um, so I, was outside. It was nice. Walked the dog, listened to Scott talk about Agile, came home and like got into the servant leader mindset, made myself like a brunch because my exam was at 12:30. And just went and took the test. I showed up at like 11:45 and they let me start taking the test like a little bit after 12. So half an hour ahead of my scheduled time. So when you finish the first 60 questions, it prompts you to review them. And I did mine in person. I heard that doing it at your house like kind of adds a layer of stress. Because if you're someone who like when you're thinking you like look up to the right or like look down, they're gonna be like, what are you looking at? Think that maybe have some material stuck under your desk or something. So I figured if I was in their like controlled environment, that would like take a layer of stress away from me, and it did. Um, the only weird thing about taking it at a Pearson view is that you can't bring water into the room unless you have an accommodation. So just like kept my water out in the locker, and like during my 10-minute breaks, I would go like chug some water. I had like, brought a snack just to like keep my energy up. Um, but I would go through the questions, like flag ones that I was unsure of. They make it really easy to flag the ones that you're not sure about. And then when I got to the end, I think I stopped like every 25 questions, like Scott recommends, and just like took a breath, like stretched, and just like kind of shook it out a little bit. So I would finish the first 60 questions and then go through the ones that I flagged, like really work through those, like strike out, the options that I knew were wrong, because they make it really easy for you to do that too in their test interface. Once I had answered the ones that I flagged, I went back through like all 60, and just made sure, like, okay, I like that answer. Oh no, I really don't like I changed a few. Then took the 10-minute break, like had a snack, went back in and just like did the same thing for the second 60. I think I took longer than I did for the first 60 because I was starting to get tired. And then I would say like midway through the last 60 questions, I was like, I'm going to pass. Like,
Nice.
I feel really good and I think I'm going to pass. And then like really took my time reviewing the last 60, like really took my time. And I think I finished with like 32 minutes left on the clock. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem like too much extra time. And I felt like I had really reviewed everything. So I hit submit, and then you can like hear your heart pounding in your ears. And then like 15 seconds later, it popped up and said, like, congratulations, you passed. And I was like, and you really want to like rejoice that there's other people around you, like taking all different tests, like
that.
But it was, I mean, it was super intense, but I recommend, if you have a test center near you, to go there. It was just nice to have them control the environment, and not be worried about like the UPS guy or the dog barking or whatever, just to get like in their environment. I thought was good. It put me in like a better mindset to take the test.
No, that's amazing. I think, going through the whole emotional side, in the last couple of days, I'm sure that's been stressful. I think a lot of students do go through that, myself included. And then you really just need a moment to kind of calm down and really think through, what you've been working through up to today. Getting the reassurance is always great. You knew, some of the weaker areas you got to improve on. Check-in process sounds like, is very easy. Now, did you find it very hard to keep yourself focused throughout the exam, or you were able to kind of, it probably takes about 10, 15 questions to really jump in. Did you had any struggles at all during the exam?
Like the second batch of 60, I started to kind of like fade a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting tired. Like, it was kind of warm in the room. Like, so I would literally like, finish then I started breaking it down. Like, maybe I'll do 15 questions and take a break. And I would like stretch, like really stretch, and like do like box breathing, like breathe in for 4 seconds and hold it and then breathe out. And like, I was just like using every trick that I have like ever learned to like keep myself alert, basically. And I think definitely like going out of the room to take the break, and I had like a little energy bar and like drinking cold water, kind of like pepped me back up a little bit. But like definitely taking the breaks, like not powering through, like walk to the bathroom, just like kind of remove yourself from the environment for a minute was helpful for me too.
Right. No, that's great. And I do agree that taking breaks during the exam are very important, because it is pretty intense. Like you say, it is pretty long, and it really takes up a lot of energy to stay focused and be at your best for every single question. Of course, I know 99.9% of the questions are all situational.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen today, did you felt like, were there anyone that was like, yeah, this is like a total left field, I have no idea what you're asking me? And if you ever did came across that, how did you approach that?
So there was one drag and drop question that was super weird. And it said something like taking a cement mixer approach or something. I don't know if it was like something that sounded like really construction-y.
I recall
And I'm like,
learning about that.
I'm like, that was weird, but it was like a drag and drop. Like, is this predictive? Is this
Yeah.
agile?
Okay.
Is this iterative? I'm like, well, and the only one that was left for me for that one was traditional. So that's just like, well, okay, I'm clicking traditional and I'm getting out of here because I knew
Yeah.
that the other three that I had dragged and dropped were right. But that was the only one that I was like, this is a really odd question.
Yeah.
And the format was different too. So it like kind
Did you
of,
panic when you saw the drag and drop? You're like, whoa, what is this?
no,
Or
because the
like,
first drag and drop I had was pretty easy. It's like something with like Kanban boards and like other agile stuff. So like I wasn't freaked out by that format, but it was like this some like weird term that I'm like, I haven't come across that anywhere.
yeah, no, for sure. I think that's it from my side. Of course, I love to open it up to the group for any questions for Andrea regarding her exam today, her study plan, how was her final week like, anything.
Yeah, I have a question, Bernadine here. You mentioned that the exam was probably like 75% agile. Was so is the only agile you did to study was in the day 3? Is that the only thing you did, or is there something else? Did you do
Yeah,
more than that?
that's all I did.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also found it helpful. Like Scott has on YouTube, like other question and answer, old question and answer things, like what we're
Uh-huh.
doing, like what we do.
Yeah.
So I listened to those too, and most of those were agile. But yeah, the like the biggest thing for me this morning was like because I'd heard from a few people that it was a lot of agile, was to listen to that, like
Mm-hmm.
Agile Made Easy in 32 minutes or whatever, that was enough to like kind of refresh my memory going into the exam.
Okay.
Right, Jennifer.
Thanks.
So first of all, congratulations, Andrea.
Thank you.
That's great news.
Thanks.
I'm hoping to feel the same way Saturday
You will.
afternoon. So I'm curious. First of all, who was the name of the person that your coworker had recommended you Google and watch?
I'm gonna paste it into the chat because
Okay,
I
thank you.
honestly don't know how to spell it.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm gonna on the agile. So you found that the only thing I've seen from Scott on agile is the short, quick.
Mhm.
I mean, there's other videos where he goes over?
So in like, is it day 4, Benita?
For Agile,
Yeah.
day 3 is the Agile stuff.
Yeah, but okay. So I found while I'm doing the test questions that there are like questions that just come out of left field that he didn't go over, like crystal methods, this thing called DA and DAD. Did they ask things like that on the?
I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Oh, I've been doing these sample and I'm like, what the heck?
So, great question, Jennifer. Those are different types of agile methodologies. Those are, you can more so find more information on the Agile Practice Guide, but on the actual PMP exam, it rarely goes into anything other than Scrum, which is what we've been taught through day 3, and also PMP questions, right? PMP questions are more catered to like the general type of agile, which is Scrum and the sprint planning and all that stuff.
Right.
So I mean, it's good to know it's good to know there are different types. Crystal method is one type, discipline agile is another, Scrum's of Scrum. There's a bunch of other stuff. In one of the slide, Scott showed this big red umbrella, and then right underneath it is all the different type of agile. My advice on that is I wouldn't go ham in really understanding every single one. Just understand that, okay, these are a different type of agile, and that's really all you really need to know for the PMP exam. And on the chat, I just pasted Scott's YouTube channel. From time to time, he also upload various topic on agile. Sometimes there's like 5 to 7 minute long video, quick videos to watch on, like, let's say deep dive on product owner, or like,
Sorry.
yeah, I
It's
can
the
hear
link, and
the
it started
ad
playing
and then
video.
his loud voice. I know. So I would highly suggest, if you want to find more information, Scott has tons of content on his YouTube channel just to kind of deep dive and explain
Okay.
some of the concepts as well.
Okay, so I do Scrum, so I'm comfortable with that. It's just when I was taking the agile specific little test that he has on here. I mean, these things came out in left field, and then it said I was 50% and I needed to work on my agile, and I've been panicking.
Yeah. I'm not
Because I
kidding
felt
you,
really
Jennifer.
comfortable in that area until I took.
I was like losing my mind on Saturday. I was terrified.
Yeah, oh my God, it just set me. I mean, I have the book, so, but yeah. Okay.
I would say
I'm feeling better now.
the morning of, like, on your, even if it's just like on your to the test center, listen to that quick Agile Made Easy video that he has in the Accelerator. And that, to me, like this morning, was enough to kind of make me think in like Agile terms. And I don't think any of the questions really went too far beyond that, like into concepts that I wasn't sure of.
Okay.
It's a lot of situational questions, like, and it was like, honestly, just like, don't be a jerk manager.
Yeah.
And like, you are able to answer a lot of these questions just by like, and crossing, like being able to cross out ones that right away was really, really helpful too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Great. All right. Next up, I got Cynthia. You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, like, I have a simple question. So, is that question or like in the similar language we come across in the questions, or is it differently worded differently? Because every time we see the question on the Accelerator, we say, what do you do next and what should we do next, and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, most of them
In
are like,
actual exam, how does that appear?
a lot of them are like, what would he do next, or the project manager do next, or like, they know that this is a problem, what should he do first, or like, how would you handle this conflict in your team? But yeah, a lot of them are like, text, and then what should the project manager do next or first? Yeah. The format is very similar to what we see like on the weekly calls. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, if the language changes, like the pattern changes, our thinking pattern also changes.
Yeah.
Right?
The language is similar to what we do in the weekly calls, and not as similar to what is on the simulator.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Bernadine, next.
Hi, sorry. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. My test is next Monday.
Good luck.
I like you. I finished all the Accelerator courses, and I got like 60% on the first time of the simulator, then I think 63, and now 70%. And
You're fine.
I'm kind of freaking out. And I'm like, with my sister too, my sister and I were like, oh my gosh, I think I need to postpone it. But then I'm afraid if I postpone it, I'm gonna forget everything.
Yeah.
I think
Just take it.
So, so wait, so I'm gonna have you repeat. Is this recorded, Bonita?
Yes, it is. Did you want me to take it off, or?
No, I was just wondering if you could forward it to me, so that way I don't have to ask her again what she did after she, or not
I can
really.
send some. No, those are only admin access, but I've been
Okay.
taking notes. I can send that with you. And plus, like, after
Yeah.
every class, one of my tradition is to have a chat with, one-on-one with any of the students that's going into the exam, including you, Jennifer, and I think a couple of us here is going into the exam soon. So, we can always chat about some of the things or any last minute questions you have. But what I'll do is I'll send some notes based on some of the suggestions from Andrea tonight.
Okay, and then because I've noticed in my tests, I don't know about you, Andrea, but when you're taking the test, were you like on time, or are you kind of like over, like taking more than a minute on each question?
I was like rushing through them.
Rushing through them? Okay.
For no reason.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I mean, just to kind of finish off on that note, Bernadine, I think, there's been students that going into their PMP exam with like 70s, and myself included. I think I went in with like a 78. That was my average. My message to student is always this. Yes, we want students to hit the 80s to be in the comfort zone. But, what we always want to look for is consistency in your score. If you're consistently getting in, getting your scores within the 70s range, then that's always a good sign, rather than you're jumping from 30, 60, 50, 90, right? Because that just means you do have a foundation. It's just there are certain areas you need to work on reviewing or improving. That doesn't mean, if I don't hit 80, I should not be doing the PMP exam. That's never been the case. And plus, PMI never really disclose how they score students. We don't know it's weighted or it's based on like every single question. And what's the passing rate, right? That's kind of always been the mysterious question. I mean, if you Google it quickly, I think people are saying like 63% online, but it's never been proven. So my message to students is always be consistent. And time management is always very, very important as well.
Mm-hmm. And the timer is like right up in the top, like right corner while you're taking the test. So it's like, if you're running low on time, like it's pretty big.
Countdown timer, right, Andrea?
Yeah.
From what I recall. Yeah. So that always throws students off. It's not like right now it's 8:55 on my side. It's not going to be like a clock. It's going to be a countdown timer. Yeah. It starts counting down at like 2:30 minutes, and then you kind of have to like manage your minutes from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I literally had no idea what time it was in the world, just how much time I had left.
Yeah, great. Additional questions for Andrea? Anything from study tips, her experience for in-person testing, type of questions? Yes, Jason.
Real quick on the, you mentioned like after the first 60 and having that time to review, going back to like the clock thing, is it broken up into 60 question things, or is it still like the complete clock against you?
So the clock just counts down the whole time. But when you get to the 60th question or the 120th question, it'll say like, here are the ones you flagged. Like it'll prompt you to go to a review screen so you can see any question that you left blank or any question that you flagged. But the countdown is just, from 230 minutes down.
But then so your break though comes, it asks you if you want to take a break after 60 though. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I got you.
It asks if you want to take a break, and then the like proctor will come over and lock the computer up and like, tell you, okay, you have 10 minutes now. Yeah. So it's like, you have to like raise your hand. They come to you and
okay. Awesome.
Fix everything up. Mm-hmm.
Great. Any additional questions?
And if anything else comes up, just reply all to Benita's email and I'll be able to answer it.
Lovely. Okay, great. Well, once again, congrats, Andrea. I think you deserve like a good, weekend. Don't have to join these Tuesday evening calls as well. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to start earning your PDU credits, 60 credits over the 3 years. Mm-hmm. The last thing you want to do is retake this PMP exam.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So if you're a PMI member, when you paid for the exam and all that, if you go to projectmanagement.com, tons of free PDUs for you to earn, whether it be watching like previous videos or, signing up for seminars or even just reading articles. Just make sure you kind of claim them and start collecting them over the next 3 years. You should never have to pay for PDUs unless you're like in the final week of your expiration. But once again, have you let Scott know or?
Yeah, I called him. Great. I called my husband and then I called Scott.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, great. All right. Once again, thanks, Andrea.
You.
Congrats.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.